Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of StreamerGenics. This is a podcast that I had an idea for a long time to shine some light on some subjects and themes that not a lot of people have thought about or have thought about and was interested in. So our first guest is not, doesn't really need no introduction, the one and only Beardedleo.
Oof.
Beardedleo, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. First guest on an up and coming podcast that you're gonna kill it on, dude. So yeah, I'm here. I'm excited.
Awesome. So we're gonna have a list of questions. This is generally going to be based around what it's like. So the whole theme of my podcast can be what's it like? What's it like to do certain professions, certain things, certain hobbies that turn into, pathways to entrepreneurship, so on and so forth. So Beardedleo is our first guest. He was the main reason why I first started streaming in the first place. Inspired me to create content on platforms, social media, and things like that. And never thought I could be an entertainer of sorts, even to his pedigree. And I think it's developed a really great friendship in tandem to doing that. And we've had some really great times together, great memories, things I wouldn't trade for the world. So 100%. He is going to be here explaining, because he's been doing this a lot. How many years have you been doing this so far, cumulatively, you would say?
First stream was in 2017.
2017. So he's been doing this since 2017. I started in 2020. So he has 2 years ahead of me. This guy knows what's going on. He was always like the one I'd call or message like, hey, man, this ain't working. I'm freaking out. And he's like, oh, you just got to do this. Even to this day, I'll be like, hey, man, I've been doing it like this. Like, what are you talking about? You've been doing it like this for like 3 years. All you got to do is check this one box and bam, you don't have to worry about it anymore. And it still happens. Mm-hmm. So the first question now, as I said, I was inspired by you. What inspired you to start streaming and how did you get started?
I actually, and just for, the crowd, we did kind of look over some of these questions prior to the podcast, just kind of, some thought starters, some brainstorming. And I was sitting there thinking about it. I think it was a little bit earlier this afternoon. We did 6 hours of driving today with the kids and stuff. And I was sitting there, I was like, man, how am I going to answer this question? Because typically when somebody says, why did you start streaming? It was just like, just because I wanted to, right? It was something I felt compelled to do. But I was thinking back to the original group of friends that kind of started all this. And we used to play, this is back when Destiny 1 and 2 were big. Right. So I guess this would have been the years like 2014 through 2017. We played it might have even been like 2013 through 17. And we had played die-hard nights of Destiny 1, Destiny 2. We were big into Battlefield 4. Yeah. And during that time, if you were ever big into Destiny, you really had to figure out these raids. So they had these things where you'd go in as a group. I think it was a 4-man group. I think it was 4. It was 4 or 6-man groups. I can't remember. It's been so long now. And you really had to dissect. Each person had to play a role. And if one person failed that role, the whole raid was over. You'd be in there for hours trying to do this stuff. And we as a group did a really good job of actually completing these raids, well before others could, or others that couldn't complete it, we could. So as we were talking through some of that, a guy in there, his name was Snake Eyes, started talking about, hey, we should get some PCs and start streaming this content because, where we were going to figure out and solve some of these raids if we couldn't do it on our own was, of course, to streamers or content creators on YouTube. Correct, yeah. And he's like, hey, we're able to do this stuff. Let's maybe we should start to record it and try and have some fun with it. And I didn't even know what streaming was until I'd say maybe 2015, 2016. And I started watching some guys on Twitch. And it was just a kind of a labor of love. I was like, man, this is kind of cool. Like, they really just have a community of people they vibe with. That it seems that they kind of build a base, a place where people can come in and be themselves. And I really started to love what I saw. So I said to my wife, I said, hey, I want to go and invest like $4,000 into a rig and some screens and start doing this thing. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where the love started. And that's where it all started in 2017. And I've still got some fond memories of my very first streams, but that's what kind of inspired me, was watching others kind of build communities and friendships online. And I think back to the friendship. I still got, Southern Grown. His name's Jason Allen. He still comes into the stream today. He's one of my longest followers on my channel. And he was one of the guys I played with, for years. We've been IRL friends for life. But, we're friends in game too. And I built some other friendships along. I got Cool Ray, Whale Dog. I had Jason. I had my brother. I had all these people, right, that I still consider friends. Hell, I went and saw a concert with Yeah, I went and saw concerts with them, last year at APC, went and saw a Perfect Circle with all these guys. So anyway, just friendships, and it goes back to kind of our friendship too, Parker. We've met in person multiple times. We've had some good times, good memories. You said it right, stuff that I'll, to this day I'll treasure, and some things that you just can't find that value. Like it's different. It's like friend dating now on the internet. It's not finding people at the bar anymore, right?
And I don't feel like there's a stigma on it that much anymore either, because it's more common than it used to be, especially COVID. COVID.
We were talking about this last night, right? We were saying ASL and AOL chats, right? And
absolutely,
that was kind of like the first version of trying to meet people on the internet. And we were talking about this. I really loved going in there and like just chatting with random people. And even though I had good friends in middle school and high school that I'd known since I was in elementary school, but at the end of the day, it seems like it's so much more normal. I talk to people like yourself and other friends that I've got that I've established through streaming and gaming more so than I do real people that I've known for a lifetime. It's pretty crazy, really.
If I could add a side note to that, I feel like streaming is like a place for someone to either show like certain sides of themselves that they wouldn't show in public. Either that be like a toxic individual or just someone that's really awesome that just wants to like either vent their problems or like give advice or things like that they wouldn't really normally do in public. It's just, I feel like it's easier for people to kind of like be themselves, whether it be an asshole or a good person or just neutral, whatever. So second question how would you describe your streaming style and content, and what sets you apart from other streamers in your niche?
For me, it was something when I was thinking about like what do I want to create, and one of the things I think we go back to what my first answer was, is that community was the thing that was kind of ringing to me when I looked over some of these other streamers. You had the sweats at the time, like the Shrouds of the world. I never really hung out in those streams. It just wasn't my thing. But you could go over to like a Dr. Disrespect stream, and he's got a vibe. He's got a community. He's got the Champions Club. He's got a whole thing going, right? It's a show. It's a production. And to me, I was like, if I'm going to create content, I want it to be not only a place that you can hang out, but also have some production value behind it. I'm definitely never going to be in the level of him being able to step into, different screens. And we've had a lot of different versions of my stream over the course of 5 years. It's changed a lot. You've seen it. You've seen a lot of changes just since you've been here, Parker. And going back to day one, where I had just a little small green screen to the whole green screen to the side angles to multi cameras to, we've done a lot of changing, and all that is to try and make it a more engaging space for people to come in and find something that, whether it be they go, oh my God, is that a Thor's hammer? I love Thor, or, just, relating to whatever's in the room to bring them in and make them feel, hey, this guy seems kind of cool. He loves Star Wars. He loves, he loves the Avengers, whatever it is. He loves Mario or Zelda, all those things, right? So for me, as I thought through it, I was like, hey, I'm typically a decent conversationalist. I've been in sales most of my life, and even when I wasn't in sales, I was a hustler in high school. I like to talk to people. I like to engage, and I like to hear people's life stories. I love to hear about their day, their life, what they've been through, and so to me, I was like, what I'm going to build is, I'm going to play the game. Hopefully I'm decent at it, but regardless of being decent, if I suck at it, that's great too, because I just want to be able to engage with people. So that's kind of my thing in how I try and differentiate myself, because there's a lot of streamers out there, Parker, this. And I think as somebody that's maybe looking at even becoming a streamer, right? They go, oh man, this looks easy. You turn on the camera, I'm going to hop right in and look, man, look at Leo. He's got all these people watching. Look at Parker. He's got all these people watching him drive a semi truck around all day long. And I wish it was that easy, because, you've got to find something that makes you unique in a space that is harder than, I think the number that I looked at, this was last year, is that there are more, it is harder. It is harder to become a professional full-time streamer. You could actually become a professional basketball player. You'd have more likeliness to become a professional basketball player than a full-time streamer.
I 100% believe that. So let's dive into that just a little bit deeper for your streaming platform that you have built. How do you engage with your audience and build relationships with your viewers? Let's talk about some of the things that your stream has been able to accomplish for others, and how do you get more engaged with your viewers on a more personal level?
So, for me, when it comes to, and actually just go ahead and just repeat the damn question. So, because you said it was, how do I create ways to engage with the audience, right? Yeah.
Like, how do you, what has your stream been able to, what's your stream been able to accomplish with engaging with your audience, and how have you built more deep relationships, and what kind of things has your stream done to bring people more together and help out and things like that.
Okay. For me, it's always just been a place where it's open to anybody that has a good heart and in a place they want to be, right? We've always said we're not going to accept anybody that's hateful, anybody that wants to come in there and be blasphemous, anybody that wants to come in there and start some crap, some whatever they want to do. For us, it was a place where you could come be yourself. You could step outside of your normal day-to-day BS, and that's just by engagement, right? You have other people that you either relate with, or even myself. Good conversation, sometimes a good beverage, depending on, if you do enjoy beverages, which I know you did, and now you got a little, you got a little break going on there, Parker. But
forever,
I think the ways to create that is, through deep conversation, asking the right questions. And I had a guy, it's his name is Danny Harris, or no, I'm sorry, Danny Hampton. And he came in last night. His mother had just passed, and right. he said, look, I just want to tell you that every time I've ever jumped in your party, you've always asked me, how's life, how's things. No matter if I've been here 6 months ago, a year ago, I can hop in. That's why I leave my party open. I know some people really hate that because somebody can just kick the door into your party while you're in the, a final fight on a game, or you're already mid conversation, or they're being loud or obnoxious. We had that version of a person joining last night too, chewing on salad while we were fighting, and it was annoying. But, the big thing for me was I want somebody to feel like they could jump in at any time. I'm not untouchable, right? I'm not some guy that's just like, oh, I've got just this group and only this group I play with. And if you're not cool, I don't like you. I pretty much love everybody as long as you're a loving person at the end of the day. If you're kind and, you're genuinely somebody that I can get along with, you're welcome anytime to come in and say, hey, I hate to, and people always apologize. They say, hey, I don't want to bring the mood down, but, hey, my mom just passed today, and I'll take the time no matter what to stop and say, my condolences. I'm sorry you're going through it, and try and, I've had loss in my life too. Thankfully, never, a direct parent. That's tough. Losing a mom, I can't even fathom. And I thank God every day that my mom's still here, but I just try and make a place where they feel like they can come to when they need it. And that's kind of what I think sets me apart. And, typically what I'll do is make sure they know that, hey, my DMs are always open. I've given out my personal phone number to a ton of people. I think, Alex, is that if you ever need anything, whether it be stream related or life related, you could reach out to me. I know, you had some things that you've been dealing with over the course of the past 12 months. And I reached out to you and said, hey man, how you doing? How you feeling? You getting through absolutely. It okay? 100%. You doing okay? Right.
Mm-hmm. Not many have, and I've definitely been one of them.
And we've been able to leverage the community that we've built over the years, and been very blessed to get in this while Facebook was still really doing a great job of organically growing the stream. I mean, we typically did not invest $1 into spreading the word of our community in Beardedleo. We typically got organic growth through Facebook, which was great, and it led to guys like yourself and so many others that still come in every single day and support the channel and support the community and support the content. And what we've been able to do is really give back to the community. We give back to not only community members. We've had so many times where we've been able to help a guy start a pressure washing business when he was struggling.
I remember that.
We had somebody almost get kicked out of their apartment, and we paid her month's rent. We have, we have charities that we do every year where we fully pay for every Christmas gift for a foster home. And this year, so we've done it for 2 years. It was $5,500, $6,000. We covered the Christmas gifts. And this year we're poised to do 2 foster homes versus 1. We have a viewer that's going to do a $5,000 donation. And we have another one. I'm telling you, man, I'm excited great. This year. I got to find another place to help support this year.
It's going to be, your kitchen is just going to be full. You might as well get a Santa costume now and just grow the beard out a little bit more, get the belly going just a little bit. And then it's going to be full sled away. It's going to be great.
I'm already working on the belly, Parker. I got to cut back on these, but
I get it.
We've just been able to leverage not only and not monetarily at all times, right? There's just times where we've been able to. We had another guy who jumped in our stream. This might have been 4 months ago. And he said, I don't know why I ended up here, but I did. And he was contemplating harming himself. And he's like, I don't know why I ended up here. I did somehow, and here I am. And we spent that next 2 hours talking him through, getting him on a crisis hotline. He came back the next day and said, thank you for that. And that's not the first time that's happened, but I think I felt blessed. Oh, and not to mention, we did the very first thing we ever did was 2 brand new ears for Noah. We were able to raise $20,000 to get a brand new set of ears for somebody who had a young child who's affected by bilateral microtia, which is a kind of a form of dwarfism on the ears. They didn't fully develop, and we got him 2 brand new ears.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
You didn't know that one?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so we did that on D Live actually.
Oh,
This
that's
was,
why I didn't know that. That was way
that
before I was in the picture. Okay.
yeah, so
Even
we did
back
that on
then,
D Live.
you were able to do some things like that. And that's really awesome. And that's very
Super cool.
inspiring to hear. And I know a
Super
person
cool.
like you doesn't, like to hear all the recognition. Like, it's not about me and all that stuff, but something that you created was able to do something like that. So you got to be proud at least.
Oh, sure.
And feel very humbled on that. So moving along, this is definitely going to be a good question for you. How do you balance interacting with your audience during a stream while also focusing on your gameplay and content?
I'll say that it gets me killed more often than not, but
Exactly.
especially on a shooter.
Yeah.
But what I learned from day one was a game like PUBG, which you know what, thankfully, because I see it different on other games, but thankfully for PUBG, you have a lot of time in between fights and bouts where you can really spend time focusing on your content and your engagement with your community. But for me, no matter what I'm playing, I typically glance probably every 5 to 10 seconds. I'm glancing, and now it's even 2 windows because Kick doesn't integrate, which is great. But I'm typically glancing and reading unless we're in the middle of a firefight. But the way I balance it for me is I know where my head is and I know what's important. I don't turn this on to get a 20 kill bomb, not have said a word the entire game and everybody say GG and go right into the next game. I get on here to check in and see how everybody's doing for the day, get a little bit of laughter, get some clips, have some good kills, have some good times, and feel good to, engage with the community and also get some decent gameplay. And thankfully, I know multitasking is different for everybody. Thankfully, I can still typically game pretty well and chat at the same time. It doesn't mean it's every time. Like with COD, that's so hard to do.
So fast paced.
Games, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know how people. There's a reason. Like if you've got 100 viewers that are all chatting and you're playing COD, there's no way. There's no possible way.
No, there's absolutely no way
that you could keep up with all of your chat and what's happening in COD. So, for me, I think it's just really trying to balance not only the games that you're playing, but balancing the check-in times with your community, because it's important. I've had so many streams, and I don't think streamers realize this, is that you've got 30 seconds to capture a viewer unless they've been around for a long time. But a brand new viewer comes in and they're like, "Hey, new here, how you doing?" And you take longer than 30 seconds, they're done. They're not typically they're not there when you respond. So, what I would say is that if you want to stream and you want it to be something that's long term, something that you want to be more of we'll call it a part-time income, or if it's a goal to become full-time, you really need to focus on your community first. Your gameplay will there will be lights shined on your gameplay after they've decided to stay. So don't sweat the small shit. I would sit there and focus on your community first and your gameplay second. That's just my advice. Unless you're Shroud, then you can just ignore everyone and blow heads off left and right.
Well, it's great. I'm glad that you touched on that subject, because the next question kind of follows that line of thinking right there. So what role do you think networking with other streamers and creators plays in growing your audience and building your brand?
Early in the game, I funny enough, one of the very first streamers I ever played with was Unreal 84. And I couldn't believe at the time, he was on Facebook. It was one of the very first PUBG guys I'd started watching on console on Facebook gaming. And I just remember that he'd always be rocking like 40, 50 people. And, I would be chatting with him for a while. And I was like, "Hey man, you ever want to jam?" Next thing you know, he invited me in and we ended up really hitting it off and actually jamming, very often. And so from him, I ended up really spending more time. The first 3 years of my streaming career, I spent an enormous amount of time really trying to network with other content creators. And it was very important on other platforms like D Live. So the good news for Facebook when I started was you had a lot of organic growth no matter who you networked with. On other platforms like D Live, where you don't have abilities to have your viewers share your content or put it in other Facebook groups or tag people or whatever else, D Live, Twitch, we'll even call it Kick now, it's important. Like if you want to be on a platform like Twitch, which has almost zero discoverability naturally, organically, you've got to find ways to bring viewers in that are going to really enjoy your content. So what I would say is I think it's key if you're going to start your stream to network. And I'll say I've even kind of scaled back on networking a little bit towards the end of my stream, because it's hard to find the time. It's hard to find new content creators that I want to vibe with. And it's hard to continuously, I found myself not having as much time, which is tough, to really join in on all the content. Because after 5 years, you tend to follow a boatload of people. I got you and Daily and Stark and Flats and Merch and Captain Colin and Floss and Signs and Dickie Ricardo. And I can't keep track. I cannot hop into these streams the way I used to. So what I would do is, start in heavy, invest that time, know that you need to, because I've got so many people that said, I started following Unreal and I saw you through Unreal and I don't watch him anymore and I watch you. I have so many people that followed me through another creator, not to say that you want to steal viewers, but you could be the creator that they find their home with, right? And I've got people that did that 4 years ago and have never left. And Stark's one of them. He's like, I think he was following Saint. He found me, and you see me in Stark now. We've met in person. We're good buddies, and he's a mod for all my channels. I mean, Stark, when Stark's off work, we're playing. He's got a locked in spot no matter what. And same with John Flats, right? Him and Nicely played together. They had a bit of a breakup, but that didn't affect me liking playing games with him. And me and Flats play every day. So at the end of the day, I think you network heavy if you can, invest that time. It's going to help you hopefully find some other community members that really enjoy your content. And if you've got the time, put it in there. If you don't, what I would say is try and make sure you're just spending that time to continuously re-engage with the community that you've got. Trying to make sure you're leveraging them, saying, hey, can you share it? Make sure you tell your friends, family, mother, brother, sister, cousin, grandma, whatever. But networking, I think, is very important out the gates, and especially now.
Absolutely.
We're in an overly saturated streaming market right now. And if you don't have people that you're working with and trying to kind of get integrated and intersected into some of these other communities, you're really going to struggle to grow.
Absolutely. I can 100% agree with you on that. We touched on this briefly. Let's dive a little deeper into this. What advice would you give to someone who is just starting out as a streamer and wants to build a successful channel? This is a good one.
The key advice I would give, and I've given this a couple of times to other streamers, is that and let me relate it to a real world example that I deal with pretty often, right? So we deal with large customers that are car dealers that have been in this business for 20 years. Okay. They hire a salesman. He comes in, he does a good job selling cars, and he sees that Joe, the owner, is making millions. And he's like, man, I can sell cars, and this guy's making hand over fist. He's only cutting me like a 2% commission. I'm going to go start my own car business, right? And these guys go start their own business, and then they don't realize that typically owners, or even owners of any business, whether it be a streaming channel or a car business, you're typically good at one of three things, and you surround yourself where, let's say you're really good at buying and selling cars, but you're not good at selling back-end finance products. So you get a really strong F&I manager. You're not the greatest at getting out and charging those customers and bringing them in and getting to the closing table and getting them to say yes to a car and a trade-in. So you get a BA sales guy. So you've got yourself who's really good at getting the cars to the lot. You got a guy who's good at getting the cars, the customers in the cars, and you got a guy who's willing to get the back-end products to make some more profit. So that's your trifecta, right? That's your Triforce, if in Zelda speak. But anyway, to relate that to streaming, you typically need to really stick with your strengths, right? Don't try and go outside of your comfort zone to be what I would consider non-authentic, because people can smell out somebody that are fakes pretty quick. I think you might get away with it for a little bit, but people are going to start to see some odd what's the word? Some odd anomalies. That's the word I'm looking for. And they may see that you seem authentic, but then you kind of seem like when you're live, you're kind of faking it. But when you have conversations with them offline, they don't seem like the same person. I mean, and that goes back to what you and I talk about when we met, Parker, is that, it was the same, you and I having the same conversations over Xbox chat or video chat. When we met in person, it was the same exact vibe when I met you and Stark and everybody else. And that's, that's because I know a good authentic person when I see one. And so what I would say is be authentic, find what you enjoy, because you will burn yourself out if you do something you don't. So if that's trying to be this mega sweat in a game where you're having to invest hours and hours and hours at becoming better and better and better. I have a friend of mine that did that on Apex. I have a friend of mine that did that on COD. It's the same guy. And both times I speak to him, he's like, man, I've been grinding to get better. And he's found it. He's found a ceiling. And that ceiling is you're a 3KD in Apex. You're a 3KD in COD. And you're trying to compete with these guys that are just somehow phenoms and doing 5 and 6 KDs, and they're just better, right? I mean, some people are just built different. They're the shrouds of the world, right? And so he shifted his channel from what I would consider more of an entertainment spectrum to I'm going to be a sweaty, non-forgiving, don't even want to play with anybody that's a 2.5 or less KD because I want to be the best. And that's a great mentality. You want to be the best? Great. But is it what you love? And I don't think it is. So, find what you love, find the niche that you can really invest your time into, find something that you can really, when you turn it on, it doesn't feel like a stream. It doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel like something you're forced to do. Like if you have to come in here and give it 4 hours and you're sitting in front of your desk, and there's gonna be times you're gonna say, oh my God, I want to be here. But if you're getting in front of your desk before a stream and you're looking down at your keyboard and you're just like, I kind of don't want to be here tonight, you're very likely delivering the wrong content. Because when I sit down, I've got all my stuff ready to go. When I hit start streaming, I'm ready to start having conversation. I'm ready to play some games with some friends. The stream is second, right? It's me getting in and hanging out with the community. The stream and the gameplay second, but that's typically what I would tell you. Don't just go buy a camera and get a mic and start streaming because you think, oh man, I get to sit on my rear end, play games and make money. Because I promise you, the amount of time that you're going to invest, not only in back end conversations, figuring out your stream, YouTube hours on problems, audio issues, problems with other content creators, and blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. You've lived it. We've all lived it.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be losing money and you're going to be losing time off your life clock because of the stress. So find something that's not going to stress you out. Find something you enjoy and stick to it. And, don't let the down, there's going to be ups and downs in streaming, and don't let those defeat you. Right. So.
I had a little to add to it. Today when I streamed, I had a person come into my chat today and said, "Hey, I just started streaming a couple months ago." And he started asking me these questions, and I, for me, it still seems weird to even have to give anybody advice because I still feel like it's first day for me sometimes.
Sure.
And what I told him is basically, he said, "I'm a COD streamer." I'm like, "Oh, that's well and great, and if you really like it, I'd definitely go for it." But for me, my opinion is, it's a very oversaturated stream game, things like that. And when I stream the niche game, I call it my niche game. It doesn't have a large audience, but if you go on, let's just say Kick, for example, there's probably 5 people streaming it, but there's 300 people watching it. If you're that 6-person streaming it, there's a chance that you could get a very large number of those people in your stream because it's a very niche game. It's not crazy popular, because I feel like a game that size has such a huge viewership, and I don't think that people are just going around looking for all these different types of COD streamers. They've found their person by now, or they look at the one that has 10,000 viewers. They're going to go look at that one, see why is that person got so many viewers. I'm going to check that out. So I just want to add to that. So moving along, we're going to do, how do you handle negative comments or trolls in your chat? And what steps do you take to create a positive and inclusive environment for your viewers? We've all been here.
I actually love a good troll, man, and I don't get enough of them. I wish we had some more of them. But, I think what you try and do with a troll is, the internet is a nasty, toxic, barren wasteland of people that need to find better things to do with their time and their life and their energy.
Amen to that.
And you can't allow idiots like that to suck your energy dry and come in and try and dog you out. So, try and have a little bit of some thick skin when you have idiots coming in trying to say this, that, or the other, whether it be about your gameplay or your content. You're going to make friends, and you're going to make some enemies along the way in streaming. That's just the way it goes. People, human beings are just naturally very emotional beings, and we tend to take things out of perspective. Perspective is key. And I can say that I've had a few enemies over the years that I didn't even think I would have as enemies. But, at the end of the day, a good troll is really honestly good content. And what I'll tell you is, you take that troll and you flip them on their head, and you make sure that you try and be positive and engaging to them. Let them know that, make a joke out of it. Tell them to hang out a little bit longer. Maybe, for a long time I had my little stuffed wiener dog, and I'd grab it and say, tell me where on the dog did they touch you when you were, whatever else. And
I like it.
So make it fun, make it a joke. Your community members will step in and probably likely beat them up before you even get a chance to. I tell you, any troll we've got now, you'd have guys like Jake Holmes, Lissa, if you were in there, Stark. I mean, they're jumping down their throat before I even get a chance to read the comment. Right?
Leo has guard dogs. That's for definitely. He releases the fucking hounds on him, man. That's what he does. Exactly. He fucking is. Get him. You don't even have to say that. They're on him before he even knows that he's in there.
Right. I'm still I'm playing that little clip of gameplay, and by that time I've read the comment, I've already got 4 comments like, who the fuck is this guy?
Exactly. I've actually seen it in live, so it's definitely interesting to see. Like, I know it's a whole, you catch, flies with honey, turn the other cheek, that kind of thing. That's like that. But when you have a committed group of people, they're waiting to back up everybody in the community. When someone comes in and they start some shit, it's really awesome to see. So,
and that goes back to what you said, Parker. You said these people, they find their people, right? They find the person they enjoy kind of hanging with. And that's just like any friend group or the guys you had in middle school. And,
sure.
I had, it was in fifth grade. My mom pulled me out of the only school I knew with all the friends I knew and took me to Forsyth County, and I hated it for the first year. But I met a guy named Chris Avant, who's to this day one of my diehard best friends. I mean, we don't hang out because we're an hour and a half away and we talk from time to time. But, I've got some other friends I've met along the way that literally 2 weeks ago, they were down here with they just had a new baby. Their kid is the same age as ours, and we're still really good friends. And I hated my mom for it. I thought she was going to take me to a place that I hated, but I met one of my people. He helped me be who I am today and being a lot more extroverted and quite honestly not giving a fuck what people think. Like, this man never cared and one iota what somebody said, the way he painted his nails or dressed or whatever he did not give a shit. And I was like, you know what? I like living this way. I like not really giving a shit what anybody thinks about me, period. Awesome. And, so you can you said it. You catch more flies with honey. Troll comes in, have fun with it, turn it into some content, flip them on their head. Sometimes they'll stay. Sometimes they turn into a viewer because they're like, wow, this guy actually kind of is nice. I kind of want to hang out in here, right? Or they're funny because trolls kind of, are attracted to trolls. Like, I got friends who are, Justin Combs is a troll, right? And he'll troll you with a comment. You troll him right back, and he keeps in there, right? He loves to take a couple swings.
Richard McNichol is mine. He's my token troll. He definitely likes to mess with me. But it's all in love. It's all in love. It's all in love. And he makes sure I know that. So here's a really good question for you. Seeing as you're a family man, definitely got a really large presence when it comes to your career path. So how do you balance streaming with those commitments, with family, with work, with things like that? How do you balance that?
Barely, but we balance it through, what I would say is making sure that if I'm not doing what I need to in my home life and in my work life and my, my duties as a husband, a father, a friend, I can't come in here and have a good time. So typically, and I think you've seen it lately, Parker, I get on a little bit later at night because my wife wants some time, and the kids are going to bed at 8:30. Sometimes I struggle with 3 kids. The job takes, a toll on me if I'm traveling or whatever it is. And I used to always just be that guy that was like, I'm going to be on at 10. I got to be there at 10. You know what? I get on when I can, right? I got other obligations. I got other things. And if I can't get on, I can't get on. And that used to really stress me out. I used to overthink it. I'd be thinking about it when I went to bed, and it would affect the way I felt even the next day, because I would tell Alyssa, I haven't streamed in 3 days. I got to be there at 10 o'clock tonight. And I said, you know what? I've got to balance. I got to leave feeling good about what I've done for my family and for my immediate kind of source of happiness before I come here to seek out a replacement form of happiness is what I would call it, right? And because then I'm trying to fill some gap that I've got because I've gotten into a fight with my wife, or my kids were tough that day, or my job was tough that day, and I'm trying to fill it with more stream time, and that's not the way to do it. So I would say try and make sure that you're satisfied in what you're doing in your personal life first, and then the stream comes second. I don't care if you've got a schedule at 10 o'clock. The people that follow you they're not like, oh shit, he's late, 10:01. Mm-hmm. They're going to be in there when you go live, right? So what I would say is the best way to balance it is make sure that it's not affecting your personal life in a negative way, because I've seen people that had streamed every day, played too many video games. And one of them that literally pops in my feed every day, go through some challenging times in their life because they had spent way too much time gaming and trying to build a stream, and it affected them in a personal way. I mean, through a divorce, right? I've seen people get broken up over this stuff. So I think that you find what the right balance is for you. Don't overdo it, and focus on what makes you, what fulfills you at the end of the day. If you leave a stream and you feel fulfilled and you feel like, hey, I've put the time in, I felt good about that content I created, and then come back the next day and reevaluate it if you didn't. So that's what I would say. It's tough. It's tough, like balancing anything in life. Your job is not it's not easy. We got a lot on our plates every single day, and even if somebody who's, is a single guy, right? I mean, you've still got a lot of obligations, or whether you got a family, you've got obligations, and you've got some things you need to do for yourself before you worry about everything else on the internet, right?
100%. Absolutely agree with that. So I guess in closing here on the actual list of questions, what are your long-term goals with streaming? What do you see Bearded Leo in 5 years? What do you foresee on that, if you have thought about it?
I've thought
Just
about
a little
it,
bit more
but I
gray
also,
hair, right?
yeah, more gray hair. Very likely more gray hair. But with each of those gray hairs, hopefully we've got some new people that I can connect with on a personal level, some new friends that I've made, and some new ways to support, either my community here locally or other people's communities or other people or other viewers, other, community members. And so I think about it quite often. I go, man, what does the next 5 years of this look like for me? And honestly, the next 5 years is I've never got into streaming thinking, oh, I'm going to do this full time. I'm going to go create this big, massive. I'm going to, I'm going to have a big following on social media, this, that, and the other. Because typically, I'm a live streamer, and what that means, I very rarely create short form or long form content outside of streaming live. So when I've got time at night, that's the 4 hours to 5 hours I give to the community, and that's what I've got. And we typically built a really, really strong bonds in that particular way. But I don't, typically I set pretty firm goals in my professional life on my other job. I'll say, okay, in 3 years, this is where I want to be. The problem with streaming is it's really more of it's just a hobby for me. Although it is a job and I file taxes for it, it's a hobby. It's something I enjoy to do. I don't want to treat it too much like a job, because then I may end up resenting it when I've spent too much time doing it or I had a bad night. We just talked about this before we went live. Is sometimes I take it like a business and I find myself upset or regretting spending 4 hours or feeling like I didn't do good enough. Or if Alyssa says, how'd the stream go the next day? I'm gonna go, it sucked, right? Even though I may have had great conversation and some good laughs, I maybe just didn't get the donation that I wanted or get that like or that share or that clippable moment or those wins on the game or whatever it is. So for me, in the next 5 years, my goal is I just want to continue to create, opportunities for me and local communities and even extended communities within what we have on what we'll call the GVT, right? To be able to help and support people. So when we started doing this initiative for the Calvary Children's Home, my big thing was to make sure that we could help really engage in a community and help really touch it, because it's easy to go and give St. Jude $100 or a children's hospital or whatever it is. For us, we do it all. Like, we buy the gifts, we wrap them, we write notes, we get to learn the kids, we know their shoe sizes and shirt sizes, we hand deliver it. It's an experience that's very, very near and dear to my heart, because it's something that we really put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into, and I hope to be able to do that. We've done it for one foster home, hopefully 2 this year, and I'd hope to be able to expand this into something where we get on the news one day and maybe we're doing 5 foster homes or a battered women's shelter, or just something we can really touch, see, and feel. Because it's easy to, when they say, hey, do you want to round up for the firefighters at Firehouse when you're buying a sub? It's sure, sure, I'll round up. But where does the money go? Who do you help? You help John, the firefighter, and does he get a new piece of equipment that saves his life because he got caught in a burning building? You don't know. So I like to have some control over what we do when it comes to supporting charitable organizations across any community that we support, right?
Well, I feel like it's more intimate that way as well.
Very much so, right? And it makes it to where when we see that final picture that we do every year where we're delivering the gifts, the people that came in and supported. I had one come in and support this year that was the first time. Simon Perez, and he's a brand new supporter.
Oh, Simon, I know Simon.
Yeah, brand new supporter on my channel. I mean, he always commented, he always hung out, but he was a brand new supporter. And he came in, he's like, hey man, I really want to give to this initiative. He's like, you're going to do something way better than I would with this $200. So please, where can I send you the $200? And somebody that comes in and really, he comes in once every couple weeks and hangs out for a little bit, but it's just cool to see this collaboration of people go, holy crap, how can I help? And we put together some really, really craziness over the course of the past 2 years.
And it's been, even for me, if I'm just going to set myself aside as a viewer, not a friend or a streamer, to be able to see your channel do these kind of things and stuff like that is truly inspirational. And I'm not trying to stroke anybody's ego or nothing like that. This is people to me, like I'm not going to say older folks or nothing like that, but people who don't really know anything about streaming or none of that stuff. Like, oh, you just sit there and play video games and people pay you. I can't believe people pay you to play video games. There's more to it than that. There's way more to it than that. People think it's just, I just turned on my camera and I'm here just getting flooded with cash.
Sure.
And, you don't go into stream for the money. You don't do that. It's just, there's no future in that, Holmes. There's no medals out here. You don't get, but if you can turn it into something like you've done, and put smiles on children's faces that year that didn't think that someone out there would give a crap about them or something like that.
Sure.
Me being being in a foster home when I was younger could definitely relate to something like that. So it's really, really, really cool to see streamers even today, like yourself, being able to make those accomplishments with the community that you have centered around you. It's just really awesome. Really awesome.
And it's, there's a lot of other creators. Angry Vet Gaming, he actually just stopped doing full-time streaming, I guess, because some things have changed. But he put up a number the other day in the 4 years during COVID. I mean, he ended up raising like $300,000 for vets, and
that's amazing.
We can't even, with our tax dollars, we can't get 300 grand done to vets here in the country. And we've got to, it sucks that we've even got to rely on, everyday Americans to pull together money for these foster homes or vets or, anybody out there. It's crazy that we're not only already paying Uncle Sam, but then taking money we pay taxes on to then do the things they should already be doing. But it just goes to show you how big people's hearts are. And it really goes to show the type of caliber of person and the type of people that you surround yourself with. And when I look around at my group of people, we can get a little raunchy, we can get a little goofy, we can say some things that maybe aren't politically correct, but at the end of the day, we've all got big ass hearts of just brass, steel, fucking hard, ready to rock and roll. I guess you could call it gold, but I just, just hearts that beat for the, for others. And I love doing it every year. That's what gets me excited, gets me chuffed up.
It's really great. It's really awesome to see. I'm excited to see what more that you do, because I know, like I said, this year you have 2 homes. So, I mean, what happens next year we got 3? You never know. This could spawn into a giant charity that you might be a part of. You might be the next Hillary Clinton. I don't even know.
Oprah Winfrey. You get some stuff, and you'll get some stuff.
But
we had a dealer, Parker. I'll tell you a story. We had a dealer that did exactly what we're doing right now. Started out very small. He had done it was like bikes for kids or toys for tots, essentially is what it was. And the first year he had a lot that could do 200 cars. He had to slice off 20 parking spaces for all the stuff that was getting dropped off in the community. And then as he was going to Mannheim, which is our larger auctions, he started talking about, hey, this is what we did this year. And then next year he had to do 22 spots and then 25. And then during Christmas, he's got to block off half his freaking car lot for all the shit that people are dropping off. And then people that are sending him checks to, I'm talking direct money, 20 grand donations, this, that, and the other. And it was just, he did this for 20 years and would, talk to people about it and additional sponsors. And that's kind of what happened this year. We had Jason come in out of nowhere. Hadn't seen him in a while. He's really doing some like humanitarian rights fighting up in Canada right now. And he popped in and he's like, hey, if you ever do anything for MS, let me know. I'd love to support it. And I said, well, we're not doing anything for MS currently, but what I will tell you we have been doing since you've been gone is this, and this. And he's like, dude, you hit me up October 1st and I got $5 grand on it. So amazing. Just talking about it, we had a guy say, I got the bag on one home October 1st, right? Amazing. It's just crazy.
Awesome. And then my theme is what's it like, and Leo's theme is let's talk about it, right?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
So I'm going to give you the floor basically for the next 5 minutes if you want. If you want to share anything else with the viewers that are watching this video currently, it's all yours, buddy.
The floor.
You have the floor. You have the floor.
You've covered quite a bit, and what I would say to you, Parker, from creator to creator, man, you inspire me too when you actually say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I've said this for years, right? I'd love to do a podcast. I'd love to have days where we're talking through something very Joe Rogan style. We've done it off the cuff, right? We've started to stream 100%. And decided to do that for a little bit, right? And
didn't even game.
And didn't even game. Just said, hey, we're going to talk for 4 hours. But I would say that proud of you for starting something, and thank that you. I hope somebody sees this and they go, man, that was cool to see. Loved watching it, and you can inspire some others to kind of chase a piece of content or a piece of a dream that they want to do. And that's all it is put some skin in the game. Take a chance. Get out there. If you feel like you want to do something, do it. And it doesn't have to be streaming. It can be anything. I mean, what you said it was StreamerGenics, right?
StreamerGenics, yeah.
StreamerGenics, right? So, you took something, you put an idea, and it's essentially saying this, what do you do in that particular job or whatever it is? Is it a profession? We've seen so many people like Richard, right? I think Richard McConnell's one of them. He became a master electrician? Yeah. So, and we were with him through that journey. He's like, hey, I'm going to school. I'm doing this. And then he was telling us when he was graduating, and we just kind of kept chuffing him up. We had another girl she's graduated college last week, came in, and we've been with her since she was like a freaking sophomore in college, and she would come in and tell us, oh my God, I'm slammed with college, or, somebody during new job changes, life changes. And what I would say is just enjoy what you do and try and be a part of a community. And if you do that, the rest will come naturally.
Awesome. Well, you satisfied? You satisfied with this episode?
Yeah, I'm good with it, man. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the man himself, Bearded Leo. You can find him on facebook.com/BeardedLeo, kick.com/BeardedLeo, twitch.com/BeardedLeo. Do you have a YouTube as well?
We do have YouTube. I just don't use it at all.
He doesn't use the YouTube. That's fine. So yeah, I'll put those links on the video itself. That way people can find you and things like that if you don't mind. And ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you tuning in for this video with my very dear friend and awesome streamer buddy, Bearded Leo. We'll see you on the next episode for StreamerGenics. We'll find out what's next or what it's like.
Appreciate you, Parker.